Hey folks, today we're going to take a look at a game that is currently seeking funding on Kickstarter. That game is called Knights of the Hound Table, and it's from We Ride Games. Now, if you like what you see throughout the rest of this preview video, I'm going to encourage you to go to the official Kickstarter project page to find out more information than I could possibly tell you here. To do that, you're going to follow the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. Go there, find out more information, and hopefully you will consider backing the project. Now, Knights of the Hound Table is a competitive two-player head-to-head card drafting, deck building, and tactical placement game. If you can believe that, it's got all those things in it in at least a small way. And what you're doing, the theme of the game is that you are trying to build this band of knights who are, of course, anthropomorphic hounds with really high quality artwork to illustrate that. You're trying to recruit these knights and then put them out into battle, but also tactically use them in such a way that there's a knight that's defending, a knight that's attacking, a knight that is using their special power in order to support the other knights and to support you, and trying to recruit other heroic hounds who are even more powerful eventually, and so on and so forth. What you're trying to do is knock out your opponent's life total in order to bring them to heal, no pun intended, well pun fully intended, and then you will be the leader of the realm. So, of course, it's a little more complicated than that, but not too complicated. So what we're going to do is show you a preview copy of the game. So do bear in mind that what you see in this preview copy may change in the final version, and that is, of course, why it is very important for you to go to the Kickstarter page to find out more information. But we're going to run through that, give you a brief idea of how the game works. Then we're going to come back and discuss it further. Knights of the Hound Table is a competitive drafting and deck-building card game for two players. Each player is attempting to form a coterie of Hound Knights to defeat their rival. You'll draft Hound cards and use them to attack your opponent's Hound cards, all while defending your Hounds from their attackers. You'll also need to make constructive use of some of your Hound's special abilities, all while trying to damage your opponents and earn enough treats to recruit powerful hero Hounds of the land. If you drop your opponent's hit points down to 0 by breaking through the defenses, you'll win the game. To set up, first shuffle both decks of cards, the Hounds and the Heroes. Remove cards from the top of the Hound deck until you have 24 remaining. For the Hero cards, place them near the side of the play area and flip 3 off the top to form a barracks. Give each player a life point card with a slider that starts at 20. Make a pile of treat tokens nearby as well. Now let's talk about the cards for a moment. Hound cards are the knights you will use to battle your opponent. Each of them has a power rating in the top corner of their card, which indicates how much they either attack or defend in a given battle. Each Hound also has a special ability that can be used if assigned to do so, which can have a variety of effects like gaining more treats, gaining more power, redirecting or deflecting attacks, etc. Hero cards are used like Hound cards, and they have very high power and extremely useful special abilities. However, you must use treats to purchase them, and you only have 3 random ones to choose from at any given point. Back to the setup. Next up is the draft. Lay out 6 of the Hound cards between each player, and then randomly decide who will go first. That person will take one of the 6 cards, then the other player will take one, and back and forth until each player has taken 3 cards. Then, deal out another 6 cards and repeat the process, alternating which player gets to go first, until both players have 12 cards. This becomes your deck. Shuffle it and place it face down in your play area. You're now ready to begin the game. At the start of a round, both players will draw 3 cards from their deck. If, at the start of a round, you don't have enough cards left in your deck to draw 3, you reshuffle your discard pile and keep drawing until you get to 3. You and your opponent will place each card face down in front of you in a row, facing your opponent's cards, but it's very important you keep track of which card is in which slot. The cards you place in the left slot will be on the attack, and the cards you place in the right slot will be on defense. Your attack card will be using its power to attack your opponent's defense card, and vice versa. Each player's middle card, however, will get to use its special printed ability, and the power on that card is only used to determine who gets to use their ability first, if it matters. The special abilities on your attack and defense cards are ignored. When both players have placed down all 3 of their cards, they will simultaneously flip them over. An attacking Hound subtracts the defender's power from its attack, and whatever's left is damage dealt to your opponent. You will also take that many treat tokens from the stock. It's possible for all damage to be blocked, in which case the attacker does no damage and gets no treats. If it's a hero card that wins against a regular Hound card, that Hound card faints. This means they are permanently removed from the game. When a battle is over, discard your played cards. Before moving on to the next round, each player may purchase a hero card using treats, starting with the player who has less treats. A purchased hero goes directly into your discard pile, which means it may be used when it is drawn from the deck later after reshuffling. The purchased card is also immediately replaced in the lineup with another card from the hero deck. Play continues like this with new battles every round until one player's life points are reduced to 0 and the other player wins. It's also possible to win the game by having your heroes defeat 5 of your opponent's heroes, causing them to faint and removing them from the game. There are also special variant win conditions you can use to end the game faster, and even a special 3-player variant. But in any event, that is Knights of the Hound Table. Well, aside from the very cute theme of the game, I'm a sucker for dogs, and as I said, objectively speaking, it was very good quality artwork for this game, and it's a very family-friendly theme, and one that, obviously there's fantasy themes are a dime a dozen, but not necessarily, Hound Knights, which is a really interesting take on that. But aside from that, even, whether that appeals to you or not, the gameplay elements here are what's very interesting. Because if I told you, as I mentioned in the intro, that there was a game that involves card drafting, deck building, like traditional deck building game mechanics, and also tactical card battling, like hearing those 3 things, you might think, oh, that's going to be a very huge, expansive game. And there are games like that put a focus on, mixing together, like throwing everything in the kitchen sink and having this grandiose 4 to 5 hour gaming experience. But instead, Knights of the Hound Table has this laser focus with these elements, only touching on each of them and using them together in a very clever way, and keeping the game very straightforward and fast. It's a head-to-head game. There is a 3-player variant you can try, but it's mainly intended to be a 2-player game, and it's just very quickly. You draft the cards that you want, and that process is very quickly. You make that deck of 12 cards, then you immediately go straight into battle, and again, the tactical placement, very simple and straightforward, but with a lot of decision-making involved. You have to decide, right on the fly, how am I going to use these 3 cards I have? You only have those 3 cards, but that's another element that's important in the game, too, using a card for multiple different things. That's a whole genre in and of itself. You decide which one's attacking, which one's defending, which one has a really cool special ability. Do I risk having someone low on attack or defense, low powered on attack or defense, because I want to use this card's really cool special ability, even though they have a high power? You have to make those decisions. Sometimes in order to get a lot of treats in a round, for instance, a special ability might get you some bonus treats, which will enable you to purchase one of those hero cards. You might have to make a tough decision like that, maybe throw a round, maybe take a few hit points of damage. But knowing that doing that doesn't just mean you're getting closer to losing the game, even if it's only a small bit. You're giving your opponent treats as well, because you get treats for dealing damage. So there's always this trade-off involved. But really it is important to get those hero cards, and that's where the little bit of deck building comes in. And because your deck is small in this game, will always be relatively small, then that means that getting that hero card means you can use it pretty quickly, depending on when you get it, and it's going to make a huge impact very quickly, whether you're using it for attack, defense, or for its special ability. But using it for attack or defense is a primo way to do it, because you could knock out, you could feint or make your opponent's Hound faint if you win a battle with that hero. That's a huge get, not just because if you manage to do that 5 times, you can win the game in an alternate way to win, but just knocking out one of your opponent's knights is huge, especially if it's one of their good ones that they've really been crutching on. So it's very important to keep track of, you can't just focus on, I gotta win this battle, I gotta win this battle, I gotta win this battle. You gotta focus on the long term, which in this game is not very long, because again, it's a quick game, But planning a few turns ahead, planning a few rounds ahead, can I get that hero card? How quickly can I get it? How many of them can I get into my deck? That's going to determine how you win the game. So, you have to draft smart in the beginning, picking your initial cards, especially cards that work well together, special abilities-wise. You have to plan how you place your cards, plan when you're going to buy the hero cards, which hero cards you purchase, and how you use those, and how you're going to use them specifically. Do you just use them as battering rams, or use their incredibly useful abilities? That's all up to you. But I have to make this clear, just to hit this point home. I'm saying all of these things and how all this this sort of deep strategy there is, but this is a game that can be taught very quickly. It sets up incredibly quickly, and it can be enjoyed by casual or hardcore players, and it plays quickly. You're never going to have a multi-hour game of this, but you can finish multiple games of this in a few hours. So if that could definitely be appealing to someone who doesn't really want a really heavy game, or people who do like heavy games but want something that's sort of to squeeze in between their more massive gameplay adventures. So, if any of that appeals to you, if you like those gameplay mechanics I mentioned, if you like the unique theme, the artwork, the fun family-friendly theme to all of that, and the family-friendly gameplay as well, listen, you don't have to take my word for any of this. You can go to the official Kickstarter project page and find out more information and decide for yourself. Do that by following the link in the top corner of your screen, as well as down in the description section underneath this video. That is Knights of the Hound Table from We Ride Games. Thank you so much for watching, and as always, for supporting our sponsors. Take care.